Welcome, dear viewers, to a magical journey through time as we explore the legendary figure who has spread joy and happiness for centuries. Today, we delve into the extraordinary tale of Santa Claus and his timeless journey. Our story begins in 4th century in a quaint village where the spirit of giving was already alive. But it wasn't until the legend of Santa Claus emerged that the holiday season truly became enchanting. The legend begins with a man named Saint Nicholas. He was a bishop who lived in the 4th century in a place called Myra in Asia Minor, now called Turkey. He was a very rich man because his parents died when he was young and left him a lot of money. He was also a very kind man and had a reputation for helping the poor and giving secret gifts to people, such as putting coins in the shoes of those who left them out for him. There are several legends about Saint Nicholas, although we don't know if any of them are true. Well, after the passing of Saint Nicholas, his legend lived on. He became the patron saint of children and sailors, and his feast day, celebrated on December 6th, became a day of gift-giving and charity. As centuries rolled on, Saint Nicholas' story was told and retold, evolving and adapting to fit different cultures and traditions. In the Middle Ages, his story made its way to the Netherlands, where he was known as Sinterklaas. Here he was celebrated with a feast on the eve of his day, a tradition that is still observed today. Children would leave their shoes out, hoping to find them filled with gifts the next morning, much like the stockings we hang by our fireplaces. Across the Channel in England, a similar figure emerged known as Father Christmas. Unlike Saint Nicholas, however, Father Christmas was not a saint, but a figure who represented the spirit of good cheer at Christmas time. His image, a large man in green or scarlet robes lined with fur, is not too far off from the Santa Claus we know today. So, from Saint Nicholas of Myra, a man known for his benevolence and kindness, to Sinterklaas, the gift-bringer of the Netherlands. And finally Father Christmas, the embodiment of Christmas cheer, we can see the early beginnings of Santa Claus. And yet, the story does not end here. From a generous bishop to a jolly gift-giving figure, the evolution of Santa Claus was just beginning. But how did Santa Claus become a staple of American Christmas tradition? Well, to answer that, we have to travel back in time to the 17th and 18th centuries. Dutch immigrants were the first to bring the stories of Sinterklaas, a legendary figure based on Saint Nicholas, to the New World. As Dutch communities flourished in places like New York, the tales of this gift-giving figure began to spread. But it was in the early 19th century that Santa Claus truly took root in America, and we owe that to one man, Clement Clarke Moore. In 1822, Moore wrote a poem for his children titled A Visit from St. Nicholas, more commonly known today as The Night Before Christmas. This enchanting tale of a jolly, rotund man in a sleigh pulled by 8 reindeer captured the imaginations of children and adults alike. Now you might be wondering, how did we go from a poem to the familiar red-suited image we associate with Santa Claus today? That's where Thomas Nast comes in. Nast was a German-born American caricaturist and editorial cartoonist, often considered to be the father of the American cartoon. In the 1860s, he began to draw Santa Claus for Harper's Weekly, depicting him as a plump, jolly old man with a white beard and a sack full of toys. Nast is also credited with the idea of Santa's workshop at the North Pole, and his list of who's been naughty or nice. So, from the Dutch tales of Sinterklaas to Moore's charming poem and Nast's captivating illustrations, Santa Claus found his way into the hearts and homes of Americans. Over time, he became more than just a character in a story. He became a symbol of the joy, generosity, and magic of Christmas. Through literature and art, Santa Claus was woven into the fabric of American Christmas celebrations. So, how did we get from a 4th century bishop to a jolly man in a red suit, you may ask? Well, it's quite a story, and it's largely thanks to the 20th century's commercialization of Christmas. Yes, you heard it right. Our modern-day Santa Claus was shaped significantly by advertising. In the early 20th century, the image of Santa Claus began to solidify into the plump, rosy-cheeked, red suit-wearing figure we know today. A key player in this transformation was none other than the Coca-Cola Company. Seeking a way to boost winter sales, the company commissioned illustrator Haddon Sundblom in 1931 to create a holiday campaign featuring Santa Claus. Sundblom's Santa was a warm, friendly, pleasantly plump and human Santa. Yes, this is the Santa we know and love today. The illustration struck a chord with the public, and the rest, as they say, is history. The image of Santa Claus didn't just sell sodas, it became a symbol of the Christmas spirit and generosity. Santa Claus, the jolly man in the red suit, became synonymous with the season of giving, embodying the joy and spirit of Christmas. But let's not forget that Santa Claus is a global figure, and his image varies around the world. In some countries he rides a horse instead of a sleigh. In others, he wears a bishop's robe or a green suit instead of the familiar red one. Some cultures know him as Father Christmas, others as Saint Nicholas, and yet others as Kris Kringle. Despite these differences, the essence of Santa Claus remains the same. He's a symbol of joy, generosity, and the spirit of giving. He brings a sense of magic and wonder to the holiday season, filling hearts with joy and homes with festive cheer. From a simple bishop to a global icon, Santa Claus has certainly come a long way. And as we celebrate this holiday season, let's remember the true spirit of Christmas, the spirit of giving, embodied by Santa Claus, the jolly man in a red suit. To sum up, Santa Claus's history spans centuries and continents. Originating as Saint Nicholas, a 4th century Greek bishop known for his generosity, the Santa we know today has come a long way. Transitioning through time and across the Atlantic, Santa's story is one of transformation, absorbing elements from various cultures and periods. In America, the figure of Santa Claus was shaped by Dutch immigrants, who brought with them the tradition of Sinterklaas, their version of Saint Nicholas. As the years passed, Santa evolved into a jolly, rotund, and red-suited figure, thanks to artists like Thomas Nast and Haddon Sundblom. Today, Santa Claus is a universal symbol of Christmas cheer, beloved for his kindness and gift-giving spirit. This evolution underscores a common thread of generosity and joy that has always been a part of Santa's character. So the next time you see Santa Claus, remember the rich history behind this jolly figure. Don't forget to subscribe for more fascinating stories. History Hub team is wishing you happy holiday season.